Hey guys, Crazy BFG here. So the Civil War was the deadliest war in US history. But what tactics did the North use to defeat the South? Well, besides the smoking hot factories and railways, the North had 1.1 million people working in those factories, producing goods, weapons, and ammunition. The Union had a lot more iron and coal reserves, producing many ships which helped them in the Anaconda Plan. The Union had a better navy than the South. But if we're talking about people in landscape, the North had 20 million people, twice of that of the South, and 69 of them were farmers. The army strength was 2,672,341. The North had more rivers and canal. So even after they make the North seem very powerful, here are some weaknesses. Most of the Union generals are kind of trash because they're too cautious. The infantry didn't know what the South looked like, and they had to conquer a large amount of southern territory. And most soldiers didn't know how to use firearms, unlike the South. And the Union morale was pretty low before the Emancipation Proclamation Act in 1863. So after I make the North seem pretty balanced, here's a tactic that ruined the Southern economy. I present the Anaconda Plan, led by my boy Winfield Scott, American-Mexican War General. And he devised a plan to go like this. Create a naval blockade, 3,500 miles long, so to block any trade from the south. But was it successful? Well, it's more successful than an average male viewer getting a girlfriend. Anyways, in the beginning, they had to supply weapons to fisher boats and ferries, and they cut everyone out of the Confederate ships. But it cut off food and supplies from the Confederates, even in battle. They cut off the Mississippi River, splitting the Confederates into two. Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas have trouble supplying goods, and forced the Confederates to use railways and rails. And the Southern economy collapsed. The major thing is that the Union captured major port cities like New Orleans, which was half of the Confederates' Mississippi. The other half goes to Vicksburg. It would be a shame if a guy just takes over Vicksburg. Oh wait, it's Grant. I grant you that. He's got a Grant link in his wish, but I ain't too sure if you can take it for granted. I'll stop. Why does Grant want to take Vicksburg? Is it because it's on the Mississippi River, and if they take over Vicksburg, the Confederates will be split into two?
Yes.
But I'll talk about the battle because it seems way more interesting. Picture the scene. May 22nd, early in the morning. The artillery opened fire. Sherman attacked from Graveyard Road. Infantry were drawn 3 miles front. The Union wrapped around the Confederates' flank and shot in all three sides. 30 bullets per every 30 seconds that pass. It's like the Union is gonna take over Vicksburg. Finally, Lincoln wanted what he wished for. Until they were unsuccessful. But on a positive note, they got Vicksburg on the most American day ever, so sleep tight, Confederates. The Union is coming for you. After many battles in the West, Grant finally led an army to invade Richmond. There is no God in war. It's merciless, cruel, vindicative, unchristian, savage, relentless. It's all a devil can wish for. Boys, we're committing 10 war crimes today. Sherman Marshall Z wasn't a war crime, but oh my god, they did some horrific things there. But let's talk about the army first. So, 20,000 men cut off their supply lines, and they had to live off the land. It allows them to move more flexibly and more quietly than if they have a supply line. The army split itself into two wings to protect the main body so they won't get flanked. While they're doing that, they destroy railways, farms, and they stole horses to provide their men with it. They freed many slaves which joined on his rampage. The reason why Sherman is doing this because He wants the war to end fast by destroying cities and cause suffering in the Confederates. They destroyed tunnels and bridges to stop transport of supplies. They made railroad tracks unstable to stop trains from carrying supplies. And the army is pretty large, so they can outmaneuver anybody who fights back. They took food and livestock from the Confederates. And the worst thing is that they burned people's houses if they tried to fight back. He moved secretly so he can avoid fighting. At night, his men will stretch out in all directions. So if one tank gets caught, the other will be alerted and they'll fight. Soldiers became expert at finding hidden food, horse wagons, and even slaves. At the end of the rampage, Sherman took Fort McAllister and retired himself to the Navy. And the cost of the damage he did was $100 million, which is not a lot of money until you consider in modern day money it's $1.6 billion in damage. And the worst part is they still are using these tactics in war. So kids, what's the lesson of this video? Well, Americans are a danger to themselves. Goodbye.